Okay.
Hey everyone, we are here with Lakeisha Grime Fletcher, and she is one of our authors. We are excited to have her here, and I'm going to introduce her, have her come on and talk to us. Lakeisha, why don't you just introduce yourself? Tell
Hey
us a little
everyone,
bit.
we are
Uh,
here with Lakeisha Grime.
Tell us a little bit about you and in the book that you've written.
Thank you. Thank you, Sally. Yes, I am Lakeisha Grimes Fletcher. I am a best-selling author. I am also an award-winning poet. In the midst of doing that, I'm a world traveler. I also am a life coach, an entrepreneur, gardener. I love yoga. I instruct yoga and a cycling instructor. I do have a few books out. I have one that is a hard copy, which is Rediscovering the Goddess, but I also have an amazing ebook, and it's called Adjust, Adapt, and Ascend. It came out in 2025.
Yeah, so adjust, adapt, ascend. What does that mean?
So it's a combination of life changes. When you think of any transition you're going through, you have to adjust to that transition, that change. And in adjusting to it, you adapt. You either go with it or you don't. And then from there, you can ascend. So pretty much it kind of guides you through life adventures in a simple three-step process.
So what made you want to write this book?
So this book it helps because I feel like in my life I'm transitioning constantly, either from being a mother to doing instruction with my gardening or my yoga. It's just so many different things that come as a woman, so many different roles and responsibilities you have. I feel like the moments it helps when you break them down, when you really understand that you can adjust to any situation, you can adapt to any situation, and when you do that and change your attitude, you definitely ascend. You arise, become better. You become who you're supposed to be in this lifetime.
Yeah, so it seems like it's all about transformation, right? It's
Yeah.
forming who you are, becoming, the person that you were meant to be. And I think a lot
Hmm.
of us get stuck in life, we get stuck doing all the busy stuff,
Hmm.
taking care of our
Exactly.
families, we're taking care of our kids, and we forget to take care of us.
Yeah. And it's really a journey. It's a journey for you to accept, and it's also a journey for you to really understand. It's about resilience, renewal. It's about rising above any challenges that you face, not necessarily getting stuck or staying in one area, but just really taking that raw story, taking your story and become a storyteller. Make it something that's powerful, like poetry. Make it something that's poetic, make it something that flows, make it your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's something that you went through that you maybe you share in this book, or that you think that or that you believe that this book will be able to help other people because of what you've been through.
Just in general, just life. I just feel like life is something to go through. We don't know what will happen from moment to moment. We don't know the next day. We can only stay in this present moment. And with that, gardening, I would say gardening is one of the major changes that I go through. With each season, there is a death of things that happen, things die, and then there's a section of growth. And so for me, I would say with my gardening, that has been the most that I had to pivot in life. And it's because it's a way that I feed my family. It's a way that I nurture myself. It's a way that I come back to my own calmness and stillness. And it's a time for me to recognize when to pivot and when to embrace different directions. I use gardening in this book as a metaphor to really show how you could transform pressure and make it into a purpose. So, say for example, if the season is ending, spring is ending, and it's now time to pivot and transition, that's pressure. You have to do a lot to get that gardening, to get it to where you need it to be for the winter. And so I use that just to heal. That it's a way to heal, to transform, but to also know that we don't ever have to stay where we are. It's always, life is always renewing. We can always use those challenges to move forward and to renew ourselves.
Yeah, and I think gardening is an awesome metaphor for life.
Mhm.
Think about the planting, right? And then the planting seeds and then the waiting period, right? You got to wait. You can't just
Yeah.
go in and then the harvest, and then the dying of the things, and then the rebuilding and the planning for next year, so you've always got to you've got your seasons.
Yeah. And also, there's a thing called transplant shock that I talk about in my book. And it's when we're moving. With all the seasons that's going on, with all the transition, when we move, there's a shock period where you can break some roots, you can break that foundation. You may go into a too small of a pot. You may not have a big enough pot to transfer into. All of these things come to us, and we're like, whoa, what's going on? I thought that my little apple tree was growing just fine. I moved it to a bigger pot, and now it's dead. And I really focus on taking the little moments. And even though it may be a shock to us with that change or that transition, take those little moments and really take care with it. Really take care to not pivot too fast. Sometimes we need to really focus on the pivot, focus on the adjustment, because if we go through it too fast, if we move too fast, we may not learn our lesson. We may go back to the same mistakes. We may go back to the same life that we didn't even want. So yeah, a good thing to remember is it's called transplant shock with gardening, and it's also with life. As we go through life, take the time to really be in that moment so that we don't repeat mistakes or challenges.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. So who is this book written for? I mean, who's a great reader for this book? Is it women,
hmm
men? Is it everybody? Is it certain demographics? What are
I
your
would say that it's meant for everyone, but I will focus on women. I will focus mostly on women in that mid range, about mid age, about 30 to maybe 50, but it's really open to everyone. But I noticed that as we get older, we tend to think we know what's going on, and then life say, boom, no, you don't. Wait a minute. And we think we're grown, we think we're mature, but we're not quite there yet. And so just thinking of women in that mid-range age range and just knowing that we are the ones that's repotting ourselves right now. We are the ones that's coming into spaces and we need to flourish and not shrink. And so using that, that would be the best because as if you're a mother or if you are influenced by other people, if you're a coach or maybe just anywhere in your life and you have a support system, you would be that foundation as a woman. And you would be the branches to kind of give off whatever it is, positivity or give off negativity. Just know that women, we pretty much run the world. So if that's the case, we have to be cautious of who we are and make sure we put out good things in the life that we live.
So why don't you talk a little bit about the process of writing this book? What was that process like when you decided you were going to write it? You sat down and wrote it. Was it did it come easily? Was it something that did it help you? Did it, what was that process like for you?
Yeah. So the process, I was already an author when I started my second book. So it was fairly easy. And because I was going through a transition at the time of writing, it kind of just poured out of me. It wasn't a complicated process. Each chapter pretty much reminded me that with every challenge, I was overcoming a challenge. It pretty much helped me to define my setback. So as I was writing, I was able to interpret my words very clearly because I was going through it. Sometimes when we go through it, we're in a confused state, going through it being any transition that you're going through. We can be very confused and it's kind of muddy. We can't quite figure it out. But I was on the end of transitioning from different age groups, I would say. I was moving from my 30s to my 40s, and I was like, what's going on here? I was transitioning from an old house to a new house. I had just recently added some animals to my life with my dogs. I was bringing in new people. So as I was going through that transition, the book, it just kind of came. And I said, I think a lot of women would understand this. And I had just started gardening. I started gardening in 2022. And by 2025, I still hadn't gotten it. I was like, what is going on? Why are my plants still dying? So it was a lot of different changes happening. So as I wrote, I wanted my readers to know just just take your time with it. Just know that it's a process. We have to adjust to anything in life. We must adjust. And with that adjust, we have to adapt to things. We may not want to adapt to things. We may not want to have to change and move to a new community. We may not want to lose a job. We may not want to be divorced, but it happens. And the way that we receive that change, it helps us to ascend. It helps us to really build on our next foundation. Nothing is ever forever, I would say, but we can make it feel really good while we're going through whatever we're going through.
I love that. I love that analogy. So, what do you want the readers to take away from reading this book or your Adjust, Adapt, Ascend book?
I would just say, be inspired. Just know that you could change from being surviving to thriving. It's a lot of uncertainty sometimes in the world. And just know that we can align, we can become aligned with whatever's going on. And I will also say, change your challenges to opportunities. Your outlook is extremely important in how you adapt. Your outlook and your attitude is extremely important if you're going to move forward. So whether you're in transition or you're seeking any type of healing, you're longing for something, just step into that potential. Know that you're greater than whatever you're going through. And let my book remind you that you're repotting, when you repot yourself, it's not a ruin, it's a rise. It's a time for you to adapt and ascend and to move forward. Don't ever feel like you cannot start over. It's possible, and you can start over and thrive and be exactly who you're supposed to be.
Awesome. So, how can people connect with you if they want to buy the book
Yeah.
or talk to you about it?
Yep. Thank you, Sally. It's on Amazon. It is an ebook, so it's available instantly. My website is Lakeisha Grimes Fletcher, and also my social media links on Instagram and Facebook, Lakeisha Grimes Fletcher. Yep, .com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. You can also find the book on our website, actiontakerspublishing.com/books. If you go over there, scroll through the books and you'll see Lakeisha's book there. We're excited and happy to have her as one of our featured authors and be able to help her publish and get her book out there out into the world. Um, Thank you everyone for tuning